When I was first nominated to do this speech, I thought that I wanted to talk about some really broad idea of success and how it doesn't come from you, or it does come from you and nobody else can tell you what success means to you. And the reason I'm being a little dismissive of that is because the second thing that I did when I was nominated for this speech was search up TEDx Redefining Success. And I found a girl named Ava Sanchez. And she talked about exactly what I just talked about. She decided that success has to come from your authentic self, and I completely agree with that. But the only issue is, while I was watching that video, I realized, wow, okay, first off, if I copy her, I'm not going to be original. And two, she probably did it better than I ever could. She probably talked a lot clearer and probably talked a lot more concisely. So I figured, well, I need to change of plans. And since we're already in a high school, there's nothing more nerdy and more scholarly than combining math and public speaking. So I made a formula, and I will go through each variable individually. But the main goal of my speech and this formula is that whatever value you put in for each of these variables, you will find some solution or some level of success. And my key idea is that by balancing all three of these ideas, not just dedication, not just enjoyment, and not just appreciation, if you balance all of it, then that is how you'll find optimal success. Now, first I would like to talk about dedication to success. And I'm sure we're all very familiar with hard working and you need to be dedicated to achieve your goals. It's what it sounds like. It's how dedicated are you? And again, I'm basing this equation off of what Ava has already said about how success has to come from your authentic self, and it comes from within you first. And as great and as freeing as that may be, that also means only you can be the person fighting to succeed your own standards. Dedication is talked about a lot in our world and in many past eras. Whether you're a professional athlete, a famous artist, a musician, even a student or a teacher, you're expected to work hard. It's like what Kobe Bryant said. If you want to be great at something, you have to obsess over it. For him, that meant practicing and going to the gym because he was a great athlete, but for other people, that could be putting in extra hours or meeting with teachers for extra help. I know I do that. Now, like I mentioned before, I'm here to point out how important balance is. And so, as great as a dedication may be, over-dedicating yourself and only working hard, that is where the danger comes in. The truth of the matter is that success comes from within us. And that means self-discipline is at the core of reaching our goals. And expecting to reach your goals without putting in the effort is, quite frankly, a lazy way of thinking. But at the same time, if you do not enjoy and appreciate, going back to my formula, what you're putting effort into, that can have the same exact detrimental effects as not putting in the work at all. And so that leads me to the fact that enjoyment and appreciation are almost, and dare I say, just as important as the work you're putting in. And a major cause of failure, or not achieving your success, is burnout. The National Institute of Health tells us that burnout both has emotional and physical effects, with some of these effects including a weakened prefrontal cortex, which means you have reduced memory and your executive functioning skills are not quite maybe where they should be. And another one is an enlarged amygdala, which causes your fight or flight response to turn on even when you're not in any danger. And that can lead to stress or exhaustion or inefficacy. And in short, along with what I have on the slide, burning yourself out halts your success, just in the same way as not working hard enough would. Like Ava said, again, success comes from your authentic self. So if you are feeling exhausted and unmotivated, the reality is that you won't accomplish as much, whether or not you're working hard. And mental burnout is definitely a factor. There's no denying that. But also, as an athlete on this stage, I can tell you that there are some real physical effects to pushing yourself too far without enjoyment or appreciation. And back when I was in 7th grade, I had a stress fracture in my right ankle. For a while, I was a little naive back in 7th grade, and I had never quite dealt with an injury before. But I knew my ankle hurt, and I had that gut feeling that there was something wrong with my ankle, but I couldn't quite place what it was. But I also knew, well, I'm on this pretty good volleyball team, and I want to keep playing, and I was enjoying my time playing. So I decided to just keep playing. And that's bad now, I see, but back then I didn't know. And I also didn't want to let my team down and not get left behind, really. Looking back, that would never have happened, but again, I was a little naive. I didn't quite know what even an injury quite really was. So eventually, the pain got to a point where I didn't even enjoy volleyball because it hurt so bad. I started getting bitter because every time I would lace up my shoes, I would just feel pain instead of enjoyment. And eventually, I was forced to go to the doctor, and I got a boot, and it healed, but I did not learn. Shocker. So then, 1 year later, the summer after my 8th grade year, I was invited to play for the New England All-Star team for USA Volleyball. And I was so proud of myself because that felt like the reward for all of the hard work I'd put in, all of my practice times and all the games and tournaments I've played in. Now, the thing is, at the camp, before we went to the tournament, because there was a tournament where all the all-star teams from around the country went, which again, I was really excited for this, I broke my ankle. And this time it wasn't a stress fracture. It was the different ankle, and it was not a stress fracture, it was an avulsion fracture, which means my tendon or muscle, I'm still not quite sure, pulled a piece of my bone away. And so all I knew is that I knew that my ankle just shot up in pain. And I actually could not physically bend my knee past the front of my ankle because it had hurt so much. So I was walking around with my knee bent sideways, and I was limping around. And so you'd think, well, yeah, okay, you'd probably stop playing volleyball then. But I didn't. Even with a piece of my bone literally ripped away from the rest of my body, I continued to play. Because I couldn't bear the thought of, again, letting my team down and not playing because I'd worked so hard to get here that why would I stop now? As it turns out, at the tournament, I did not play. But I did walk on my broken ankle for 2 weeks before I got my boot. Now, a few other notable injuries that are not quite as impactful as my 2 broken ankles. I've been concussed. I've had many sprained ankles. I've had sprained right wrists, and I've pulled some of my leg muscles. And all of these injuries I've tried to play through until I really could not. And the thing is, each time I injured myself, I stopped enjoying the sport, and I started resenting it because I felt like I had to play through my injury, or else I wouldn't be good. Because up until that point, all I had known was hard work and dedication. And if I was not dedicated, then what's the point? I had no enjoyment, and I did not appreciate the work according to my formula. All I put in was dedication. And so because I was so dedicated, and because I overworked myself to the point that I was just making my injuries worse, I was not successful. Looking back, that was not success to me because I was just further injuring myself. And ultimately, a lot of our world right now focuses on dedication to hard work. I know I've said it a million times, but it's true. In the end, it is up to you to put in the work and to reach your goals. However, I do hope that my formula and my speech makes it clear that overworking yourself without a support system will only end up hurting more than it helps. Success is what drives everybody, and it's what holds us accountable for our own work. So it is up to you to work hard for what you want. But what I want to add on and to make abundantly clear to you all is that you also have to be self-aware enough to accept and be proud of what you have already accomplished. Keeping this healthy balance will enable you to enjoy the challenges that you have set for yourself. Again, referring back to my lovely formula, which I have very originally named the formula for success, this balance is needed for you to reach optimal success. My speech today is not to encourage everybody to go soft and stop working hard. It is definitely not. But it is supposed to encourage you all to find a balance in your life, to make sure that you do not overwork yourself and that you are not only working hard. And I'm sure that has happened to many people in this room, whether it's burnout or maybe you've gotten sick and the sickness has just lasted for weeks and weeks on end. That was me in the fall. But I hope that my talk and my formula have simply redefined success for you all and has explained why dedication, as great as that is, must also be balanced out. It's not laziness. It's only care for your well-being. Whoever you are and whatever you do, you could be a student here, a teacher here, you could be one of the astronauts on the Artemis II mission. I don't care. Keep working hard. But you also must find ways to implement joy and pride into your work. Maybe that's sleeping a bit more, playing games with your friends, just talking with your friends, eating good food. Do whatever it takes for you to still appreciate and enjoy what you're doing. Because in the end, it is my belief that is what success truly is. Thank you.